Jeremy, with so many people coming back on this defense, I know that you had basically run a 3-4 also. What are you planning to, how different is what you do from what's been done here before? Do you plan to change a lot or what?
Well, the first thing, I'm not real familiar with what we've done here before, okay, but we are, and will be, a 3-4 defense. But this day and time, when you look out there, you got people that say they're 3-4, they're 4-3, but at the end of the day, when you watch teams play, you know, there's so many different, you know, one week you may play against a team that's playing with 2 tight ends, 1 running back. The next week it's 1 running back, 4 wide receivers, you know. So teams that are 3-4, you see them line up in 4-3 defenses. Teams that are 4-3, you see them line up in odd defenses. So I think you got to be able to do both. So and that's what we'll do. We'll figure out who our best players are and figure out a way to get our best guys on the field.
Coach, can you talk about turnover margin? Obviously, Georgia was -7 last year. Florida State was -7 before you got there. You turned it completely around. Was that a major point of emphasis, obviously, and how do you get that done each time?
I think you have to practice it. You know, to me, you know, a lot of people try to make football harder than what it is. It's the details, it's blocking, it's tackling, it's the fundamentals, it's getting off blocks. Okay, if you want to create turnovers, then you have to practice creating turnovers. And there's more to it. You know, you can put yourself in position to finish on an interception, but you got to actually catch the ball. You got to watch it all the way to the tuck. When the ball's on the ground, you got to secure it. You got to get your hands underneath the ball. You got to learn how to recover a fumble. So there's a lot of details to it that sometimes I think get overlooked. And I think my background in high school, where you're sitting there teaching junior high kids, you're teaching them the fundamentals of how to play the game, how to get in a stance. So that's kind of how I'll coach. That's my approach. So I think when you put emphasis on turnovers, you know, hopefully we'll get the results.
Coach Pruitt, with your background being in the secondary and with UJ having so many young developing players in the secondary, how much did that factor into your decision?
Well, it had no factor in my decision as far as coming to Georgia. The man sitting right here beside me, and I actually got to meet the real boss yesterday, Miss Catherine. So,
that's right.
But we're really excited to be a part of this family. This is the reason I wanted to come to Georgia.
Coach Rick or Coach Pruitt, I think one of those answers before, but he's Coach Wilson for Dottie for the remaining back next year.
Yeah, right now if they want to, right now I think they want to. But you know, if Coach Alvin and Coach Wilson want to be with us, then that's the plan.
Coach Rick, we on this side have talked to SIDs more over the years, and they've always said that somewhere tucked in the drawer there's a list of a few names. If somebody became available, they might have an interest. Does it work that same way with head coaches when you know that there might be staff changes?
Well, you try to have a rough idea of what you might do at any position, but I can't sit here and say I got a list of names tucked away at every position, but you kind of watch and pay attention because you know it's possible that coaches go and they go for a lot of different reasons. So you want to have a kind of a rough idea, but one thing I've learned being here 13 years is that if a job opens up at Georgia, we're so blessed that it's going to be just a massive amount of people that want to be at Georgia. So you know, I don't want to sit there and be real rigid and say, well, this is going to be the guy I go after, when you know that if it becomes not common knowledge like it did so quickly, I knew there was going to be some people that were going to cross my desk, or the names were going to cross my desk that maybe I wouldn't even have on the list. And so I wanted to be open-minded when that happened, but still have some guys that you kind of keep an eye on throughout the year.
Mark, kind of as a follow-up to that, you're obviously busy with your own team during the year, but did you have a chance to see Florida State at all? Was there something about them defensively that sort of stood out to you?
Well, just a couple things. You know, knowing Coach's background, even going back to high school, talking about the fundamentals he's talking about, knowing that the last 3 years he coached high school ball, as a defensive coordinator, they won 3 state championships back to back, didn't you, Coach?
2. Got beaten in the last.
Got beaten the last one, but played in 3 and won 2. And then of course he spent time at the University of Alabama. as a defensive backfield coach, and obviously they do a tremendous job on defense, and the guys he coached and how he went about his business there. And then obviously to go to Florida State and have them play as well as they did and win the national championship. I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer on the resume part, but you know, one thing I like to do before I hire a guy is just find out, you know, what he's about. And so the only way you can do that is to hopefully know somebody who knows him. Well, obviously, you know, he knows Will Friend, he knows Mike Bobo, he knows Brian McClendon. So you want to talk to people that know him, really know him. Tell me about this guy. What's he about? I know he coached ball. That's obvious. Tell me what kind of person he is. Is he going to really want to do it the way we want to do it around here? Is he going to take care of these players like they should be taken care of, disciplining them in love and taking care of business, and knowing that the academics are crucially important, and that we want them to grow out, we want them to leave a better man type of thing, you know. And he's not going to have to. He just has to be himself to get that done. I'm 100% convinced of that. That's what makes me as excited as anything. Is when I talk about doing things the Georgia way, he just has to be himself, and it's going to come naturally. I'm not going to have to say, this is what I want, this is what I expect. He probably could do it better than I could in that regard. So I'm very excited about that as well.
Mark, you mentioned this a couple times after the season about the continuity on the defensive staff being good. Do you still think the transition will be smooth and it won't?
Well, I think there are similarities in what Coach has done and what we do. There'll be some terminology issues, and he's going to decide whether he'll learn a little bit of how our guys are used to it, or have everybody learn it his way. I mean, either way. But you know, if you don't mind, one thing he did say to the guys that I'll make mention of is, because that was the first thing the players asked was, you know, what are we going to do scheme-wise? He basically said what he said here, but he also said, you know, we'll be multiple as we need to be. Personnel group shows up. We've got to do that. He said, but we're going to be simple enough that you guys can turn it loose and play some football. And he said, if we can't execute it, we're not going to call it. And so I think that gave those guys, he said, it won't be rocket science, but they'll all be able to learn it well enough, play fast enough to prove what they can do.